Promotional consideration paid for by the following. Webster Ace Hardware and Farm Supply are generous sponsors for today's podcast. They have been a family-owned business for 27 years. This helpful hardware store sells items such as archery, Ariat clothing and boots, Wrangler jeans, case knives, Hammond's candies, and live fishing wear. They also have a full selection of hardware, RV supply, propane, Ben Moore, Royal & Clark, and Kingston paints. You need a barn or fencing job done? Custom barn kits and roofing metal are provided at your local Ace Hardware store. What about a new grill for the yard? Traeger, Big Green Egg, Weber, and Blackstone are found here, along with all the accessories to go with them. Stock up your workshop with DeWalt, Milwaukee, or Craftsman tools. They got you covered. Remember to go to ace.com to shop their entire line to have items shipped directly to the store. All right, welcome back to another edition of the Goblay Show. I'm your host, Billy Goble, and today we have a special guest. He is a 2003 South Sumter graduate and played football for us all 4 years. And he was on that great freshman team that moved in from 1999 and on, the one that Coach Howman just moved everybody up. So without further ado, we're going to welcome Mr. Andy Cason. Andy, welcome to the show, buddy.
What's up, Billy? Thanks for having me, man.
How you doing?
Good. Excited to be here.
Good. Yeah. Bro, first of all, I want to thank you for driving so far. I did not know. Guys, if you didn't know this, I thought Andy lived in Orlando.
Nope.
But he does not. He lives in Cape Coral.
Cape Coral, yeah.
Oh, my God, dude.
It was a little hike.
So we're going to make the best of this, man.
Yeah.
Because, and I, like I said, I greatly appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know how busy you are. I believe it or not, I don't Facebook stalk you, but you know how Facebook is. It just throws everything out there, and it'll tell you what somebody's doing. And it seems like you're very, very busy.
I am, but it's always good to come back home, especially, being on this podcast with you. I want to congratulate you for one.
Thank you.
This thing's taken off, man.
Yeah.
Congratulations on your success.
Thank you. And this is what it's all about, bringing guys back that I mean, like I said, not even just guys. Let me rephrase that. Anyone. Yeah. I'm not opposed to anybody not sitting on that other side of the couch. It is here for it's an open mic.
That's right.
And I was talking about maybe sometimes getting people on there went to other schools, and I kind of got that the face. I'm like, but guys, but we want to know these people. We know them. We need to know their story.
Everybody has a story.
Right.
Yeah.
Not everybody's from this area.
That's right.
And eventually, we're all transplants, regardless if you. I mean, we were born in certain places, but in some people, like my parents moved down here, so they weren't originally from here, but they have a story to tell.
Yeah.
So speaking of where you're from, where are you from originally?
So originally from like the Lutz area, Land O'Lakes. Yep. My family moved up here when I was getting ready to start kindergarten.
Okay.
So we moved up here then. I was right at like 90, I want to say.
Okay.
And then went over to Lake Penn. I had the longest commute for an elementary school. Lived out in the Nobleton area.
Yes, that is
a haul. A bus that took us from that area all the way to Lake Penn every day. It was blew my mind. But
believe it or not, that's still zoned that way.
Is it really?
Yes, there's kids that live in Nobleton that are zoned for Lake Penn. It's
Holy
crazy.
Cow!
Oh yeah, it's crazy. So you were not the only one.
Yeah. No, that was an hour and some change bus ride home every day. That took forever.
You got your homework done on the bus, that's for sure. If you could ride and
bumping all the way home,
because some of those roads in Nobleton are not the best. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could only imagine they're still the same out that way.
Yeah. So you moved to you lived in I always say Lutz, but it's
Lutz. Lutz. I mean, my family always says Lutz. I don't know if that's correct or not.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah, no, my mom was from that area. My dad's from Georgia. That's why I always rep the G.
Gotcha. So sorry about that.
Nah, Go Dogs. Go Dogs.
I'm kidding. It's a friendly rivalry, guys.
Absolutely.
If you can't have fun, I mean, come on.
Well, I mean, living here so close to Gainesville, I got ragged on all my upbringing from all my Gator buddies. So
well, I'm glad that you said that, because you being a longtime Georgia fan, and there's a difference.
Yeah.
It's not when Kirby got there.
I'm not a bandwagoner, that's for sure.
Those are the worst people.
Yes.
Doesn't matter who you vote or root for. Those bandwagon people are the worst.
I hate it.
Yes.
I hate it. Yeah, no, I've stuck with them through the good, bad, and the ugly. You know, I waited my whole life to see a national championship, and it was so nice to see, especially in person.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you do go to office. Dude, you're like the traveling man.
Dude, I now that I'm, an adult and stuff, and I can do those things, like, there's nothing better than going to a UGA game, man. Yeah. There's something about it. And, last year I got to take my son to his first one, and it's awesome, But going to that national championship game with Joey Thompson, that was perfect.
I had higher hopes for Joey, but I'm kidding.
No,
I'm kidding.
He's still a diehard Gator fan. But he was a good sport for it. That's for sure. No.
I think if you can share the moment with a friend, it's awesome.
It was magic, man. It was the best trip I've ever been on.
Yeah. My brother and I do the same thing. He's a UCF fan, and I always give him a hard time. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh yeah, I don't know how that happened. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how it happened, but it did, and he's a very faithful person.
Yeah.
And we would go to games, and I would wear a jersey, just to fit in,
Mm-hmm.
when in Rome, you know what I mean. But it's a cool experience. I think everybody has a tradition of their own that everybody should experience.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you're going to feel like you're behind enemy lines if I go to a Florida State game or a Georgia game or Tennessee game. It's going to be one of those deals. But like I said before, it's all in fun.
Yeah,
you do get those guys that are a little rough around the cusp, but.
It's my daughter right now. She's going into her junior year, and she's talking about wanting to go to Florida for school. And I'm like, Jules, there's no way I'm ever going to wear orange and blue. So if you go to Florida, I'm going to show up in Georgia stuff on every visit to see you. I will be in red and black the entire time. So I just can't do it, man.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with red and black, but just sometimes on Saturdays. I'm just kidding.
Friday nights, Saturday nights. Yeah.
See, you got it all. See, all those colors just.
This is born in red and black, man. Just stay with it. Stay with it.
It's great though. And the thing is, like, you were used to a tradition, and it's funny how things like that intertwine. You know what I mean? Like, you got a tradition that you went to high school with that is like no other. And then you go to, you like a football program that has a tradition like no other. I mean, it's kind of cool how they kind of go hand in hand. You know what I'm saying? Red and black. Friday nights I can get behind.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
If I don't know, man, it's hard. It's hard to pick a side sometimes. Even when you really don't want to, like when Alabama's in the national championship.
Bama.
And
I hate them.
You're like, oh, that's what I'm saying. Like, you have that one team, you're like, dude, I just can't do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yep. But that's what makes it great. That's what makes sports.
That was so hard to root for Earl when y'all went to the national championship game. But I found myself rooting for, number 30 out there, but I just couldn't say go Gators. I just couldn't bring myself to say it.
Well, I was afraid when Kiki went to the pros that he was going to go to like New England, Philadelphia, and I was like, oh my gosh, or Washington. I'm like, there's no way, there's no way I can go in to this establishment and pretend that I'm one of them. There's no way. I am who I am.
I bet you're happy when he went out to Dallas for a little bit. Oh my gosh.
Let me tell you about that year. When he got, I think I was on Twitter, Instagram, and I saw the breaking news. I was in Beef O'Brady's, and I screamed. I was like, yeah! And everybody's like, what is going on with this dude over here? I was like, he's in Dallas. He's a Cowboy. That's like one of the coolest moments.
Yeah, I bet. You're a lifelong Cowboys fan.
Yeah. So I know I know how you feel because, the middle school years were the best.
Yes.
And that was when they went 3 out of the 4 years, and I was like, man.
I wasn't a Cowboys fan But I did root for them. I loved Aikman and Emmett and Michael Irvin and stuff like that. But it just wasn't a big Cowboys fan. But, definitely couldn't root for the Bills. So
no, they had 4 straight times to go. But I mean, if you can't win 1 out of 4,
something's up.
Kona Ice. Kona Ice is a shaved ice truck that brings a one-of-a-kind tropical experience to you. Guests can flavor their own Kona Ice on our signature flavor wave, dance to our island music tunes, and enjoy a nutritious and delicious treat. Contact Jeremy and Marissa at 352-403-0515. Don't forget to follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. I will say this, though. Not at the time, but I do now since I know better. But when I was a kid, I didn't feel bad for them.
No.
But if you watch that documentary about their Super Bowl run, it's amazing. You're like, my God, how in the world did they not get one?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was, on my way up here, I was scrolling through social media to keep me awake, right? And I probably shouldn't admit that on here, but whatever. And as they're talking about the hardest hitters in the NFL, and it brought up Bruce Smith from the Bills, and I was like, man, I forgot all about that dude. He was a nightmare. A nightmare.
Yes. Bruce Smith was, he was so underrated.
Oh, yeah.
And they had a bunch of guys on there, and the guy that I'll never forget was Don Beebe, who in the Super Bowl, there was a fumble. There was so many turnovers in that first Super Bowl they won in, well, not the first one they won, but the one first one I watched them win, Super Bowl 27. High-powered offense for the Bills, but the Cowboys were so young and full of the depth chart was so they had all these guys that they're like, who are these guys?
Yeah,
they're all these Miami guys that Jimmy Johnson brought in from Miami. He knew all these guys. So there was a fumble. Leon Lett picks it up and is running, and dude, he's going to score. This is going to be the most point. This is near the end of the game. It's going to be the most points ever scored in Super Bowl history. And he's hot dogging. He's got the football out. He's showboating. And Don Beebe ran him down and slapped it out of his hand. And before he crossed the goal line, he slapped it out of his hand and it went out of the back of the end zone, which is a touchback.
Yep.
It's not anymore. That's a new rule change. I don't know if you knew that. It's a new rule change. They will not do that. If the ball rolls out of the back, say a quarterback, Derek Carr did this a couple years ago. He takes the ball and he's rolling to the pylon and he's sticking it out. Well, he lost control of it and went through the end zone, or the pylon's here, went through and out. Cowboys ball, and that was like the last play of the game. Like they were dry. He's doing everything he can to win this game, and he sticks it out there. And one of the Dallas defensive guys pushed him. It's like one of those. It looked like a backyard football game. Yeah, just like whatever last minute thing pushed him out. He lets go of the ball. The ball goes to the side of the end zone. Touchback, Cowboys win. They turnover on downs. It's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen in my life. But they don't have that anymore. It got changed. So I don't know what the official rule is now. I guess you maintain possession, or it's I don't know. But it's not a turnover anymore.
Curious to know what that is now.
We'll have to check on that.
Yeah.
But Don Beebe ran this guy down. And
those effort plays, man.
Oh, my gosh, dude.
Those effort plays.
Yeah. So, it's one of those things where those are plays like that. That's something you'll never forget.
Yeah, and
that's something that, I don't know. There's not a lot of that anymore. It seems like the effortless.
Well, I'm drawing a blank now, but the last one I remember is was a Buda Baker picked off. I don't know if it was Geno Smith or Russell Wilson in Seattle. Yeah, was it DK Metcalf?
Yes,
ran him down.
Oh,
that was an effort play right there.
Metcalf's a beast.
Oh yeah, but he could have easily given up on that play and let him get a pick six and hawked him down.
It's one of those things where it's very far in between. Mm-hmm. But that play with Leon Lett, and then the next year he had that. They blocked a field goal. The Dolphins-Cowboys Thanksgiving game. They blocked the field goal. Cowboys block it. All they got to do is let the Dolphins touch it. And the game's over with. It's like 6 seconds on the board. All they got to do is let him touch it. Well, it snowed. Dallas had the hole in the roof.
Mm-hmm.
It snowed, so there's snow all over the ground. Well, Leon Lett runs up, and they're yelling, Peter,
Yeah.
get away from the ball. Leon slides, hits the ball. Miami recovers. And so I think they had 1 second, 2 seconds on the clock. It's now an extra point.
Right.
Because it scooted so far toward the goal line. But anyways, after the game, he went and hid. Like he was embarrassed, obviously. But
sure.
It was just one of those. You're not thinking. You're like, get the ball. All your life, you're taught get the ball.
Especially for somebody that doesn't get the ball.
Right.
Yeah.
So at this one particular point, you're not supposed to touch the ball. Well, he does. They lose the game.
Right.
He thinks I'm going to get fired because Jimmy Johnson didn't play, and ended up later on. Obviously, they didn't fire him, but there's a little kid wrote him a letter and said, "Hey, don't feel bad. Things like this happen. Shoot, there was a guy in the Super Bowl last year almost scored a touchdown. And he got the ball knocked out of his hand." And Bill Bates is telling the story, and he goes, the kid didn't realize it was the same guy.
Same guy. Oh, man.
So you're trying to be nice, but you're like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah. Yep.
So what I do for my guests is I like to go back and, see where they're from originally, like Lutz.
Yeah.
But did you play any sports or anything like that growing up? I mean, was football always like a first love, or?
At first, when we moved up here, they had like the Boys and Girls Club type deal going on. So I played basketball.
Gotcha.
My mom and dad actually helped run that around here and get the basketball program started. And then, the first year I ever wanted to play football, I think it was a 5th or 6th grade, and it was the last year of Bandits football.
Bandits.
Yeah, and they ended up not having enough coaches, so I didn't get to play that year. So I had to wait till 7th grade to play at the middle school. So
wow.
Going out there with kids that have already been playing football for a couple of years, so I was way behind. But yeah, started football in 7th grade, played basketball my 8th grade year, and then got cut in 9th grade. I just couldn't cut it on the court. So football, man, I fell in love with it. 7th grade was a rocky transition for me. First year playing, wasn't used to contact, pretty soft, at that time. But then that transition between 7th and 8th grade, something just flipped the switch, and I fell in love with it then.
Well, I think it's that transition that my dad told me when I was growing up, he's like, you're not going to lift weights until you're 13.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 7th grade normally.
Yep.
So I think there's that transition period. He's on to something there about your body changing.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have your adolescent years.
Right.
And puberty takes over, and you're starting to gain muscle and stuff like that.
Yep.
So that transition period for you, I can totally see that, because sometimes that's you can come back, it just takes a summer.
Yeah.
And you come back and you're like, who is this person?
Exactly. I get that all the time with the kids that I coach now. Between their 7th and 8th grade years, they're 2 or 3 inches taller, 10 or 15 pounds heavier. Like, what did you eat this summer? Like, man, that's awesome. But, I was short and chunky in 7th grade and starting, to sprout up a little bit. And I got, lost some weight, but still, too slow to be a skill position and wasn't the best at tackling. So, they stuck me on the O-line, and I made the most of it. I absolutely loved it. Not a lot of people want to play offensive line, and I didn't at first because I didn't understand the role. I thought you're just there just to take up a spot, and but man, I fell in love with that, and that's when you start making those bonds and relationships with the other offensive linemen, and there's nothing like it, man.
Yeah. Is the exterior of your home or business covered in dirt, mildew, or mold? Driveway or walkway stain? Pressure King can make your siding, deck, vents, and concrete look new again with no damage. Pressure King has cleaned the exterior of houses and businesses all over Sumter County area. Usually it takes less than a day and costs less than you would expect. Call AJ at 352-457-7209.
Nothing like it. So eighth grade year, we turned it on. I know you had Kinley in here. That was his first undefeated season.
Yeah.
It was a special group of kids, man.
That's what he said. He said it was a special year group of kids. And like I had mentioned about Coach Alman, I don't know if you ever heard me say that, but I remember being in high school, and that was my senior year.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember him saying, JV, you're all moving up.
Yep.
Because I got my kids coming.
That's right.
And he had a full squad.
We did, man. We were deep.
Yep.
We were deep. We had so many kids in our class that were just really good at football.
Yeah.
So we went undefeated our 8th grade year, got up there and played freshman ball. Couldn't call it JV. We were just freshmen playing against JV teams.
Yep.
And went undefeated again. And, man, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
Like, I remember those games and practices. I still remember what those were like, with that group of guys. So that's why by the time we got seniors, we were all just so tight.
Yeah.
We'd been through the trenches since, middle school, and, those guys are still some of my best friends to this day.
And that's something that will lack in college, or that does lack in college, because you've got the transfer portal.
Oh, my goodness.
And you've got guys leaving early, and it is what it is. If you can, I'm not saying I'm never going to tell somebody they can't better themselves.
Right.
I mean, it's not fair.
Yeah, it's tough though.
It is tough, and people want to say, what about loyalty? Because like 25 years ago, well, you were there for 4 years.
Yep.
And back in the mid 90s, we had Warfel, and he didn't start. I don't remember him starting his freshman year. But what I'm saying is, if he would have left after that national, he did. We went to the national championship game and got beat by Nebraska. That was a beatdown. But if he had left, there would be no redemption year in '96.
Yeah.
There would be no highs. He would never that all that hype and stuff. So I think, in a way, sometimes you need to wait on things.
Right.
You don't need. That's like everything in life. You think, I need that right now, and then it always seems like the things that you want right now you take for granted. Think about when you were a kid and you wanted something for Christmas. Christmas Day comes, you're unwrapping it, and you get what you want.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to not care anymore after that? How long did it take you to not appreciate, did I really want that?
Yeah.
That's just something I wanted.
Right.
But the best gifts, I think, are the ones that you have to wait on.
I mean, I could sit here and talk Georgia football all day long, but you look at somebody like Stetson Bennett, his story, walk on, all that stuff, transferred to JUCO, came back. Like, he waited behind Jake Fromm and other guys, and then goes out on top with 2 natties back to back. People like that are far and few between now, it seems like. I mean, I don't want to say it's the popular thing to transfer. Like, you face a little bit of adversity. I couldn't imagine. I never played college ball or anything like that. Maybe there are situations where you feel like you have to leave and put yourself in a better position, but it just seems like right now, with the amount of people that are in the transfer portal and now in high school and even in youth football, transferring, like, just because, I don't know, you don't like a coach or something like that, it's just man. Yeah. It's a different breed of player, I guess. I don't know.
Well, there's nothing wrong with if you're not getting the opportunity to play. And that's why a lot of these guys, like, look at Cam Newton.
Yeah.
I know he had some – I don't even want to pretend to know what happened at Florida.
Right.
But something happened. Okay. They just don't let good players go.
Yeah.
They don't – nobody's going to do that.
Right.
So something didn't happen. Something didn't work out. It didn't gel.
Right.
So an opportunity was made to go elsewhere. And I just heard him talk about that the other day on another podcast, and he was talking about, like, I think he was talking to Shannon Sharp. And he said, they made it sound like he couldn't get along with the coach. And that's not what the case was. He explained. It was like clickbait. It was like, oh, the secret behind the Florida.
Right.
You know, that was just to get you to watch it.
Yeah.
But it was an interesting story still because he had to go. I believe he's the only player to win a national championship in the college level, JUCO, and I think he won a high school state championship game.
That's
like
impressive.
it's if there are others, I could be completely wrong with that, but I think that's what he said.
Yeah.
And then he went to a Super Bowl but didn't win. But still, like all these accolades.
Yeah.
But he had to go like the road to Damascus. Like it was long and treacherous and everything else. And it was like, you know, is he doing the right thing? I'm sure he doubted every day. He said when he went to the JUCO college, he's like, oh my God, dude, what am I doing here? He hated it at first. And then it was like, well, you know what? When something presents itself like an opportunity, you got to make the best of it.
Yeah.
And I think there's so many people that are around here that if they would just have that same attitude, you know what I mean? There would be a lot less transferred, I think.
Yeah. Like I said, I can't speak for anybody that's done it. I mean, I know one or two people that have done it at the college level and stuff like that. And they have their reasons. Maybe it's a family situation. Maybe it's, you know, to get back closer to home.
Right.
Something like that. But if it's something where, I don't know, you got beat out by, you know, the first string guy, now you're second string, and that's just not right. So instead of staying and trying to work your way back into the starting position, you're just going to up and leave. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. But
well, I think there's a lot of people that have a hard time with constructive criticism, or negativity, and sometimes that negativity. I want to give you, and you're going to love this because it's your guy. Where would Herschel Walker be? Have you seen that documentary?
I have not, but I've heard about it. Yeah.
When you watch it, you're going to know exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But you should know already. Where would Herschel Walker be without that adversity?
Yeah.
I'm not taking anything away from that man, but I don't think he would have applied himself as much as he did when he was bullied and all these things. And I'm not condoning any of that.
Right.
But what I am saying is, what would have happened if that didn't happen? And he had like the kosher life.
Yeah.
What if he had people waited on him hand and foot? Would he be any different? I'm sure he would.
I'm telling you, so many people with their, you know, we talked about this a little bit earlier, that have their own story, right? Whenever I want to talk to somebody and, I don't know, pick their brain on something, I want to, you know, somebody that's got some experience overcoming something, whatever it is, adversity. I want to see what their grit's all about. Like, do they have that grit factor that helped them get through whatever it was, whatever struggle they were facing, to get to their ultimate goal? And, you know, those are the people I absolutely love talking to.
Right.
And you know, watching documentaries on and stuff like that. I mean, you know, overnight success is one thing, but when you had to take your lumps and get the crap kicked out of you over and over and over again, and then you still come out on top, that's awesome. That's special.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, I'm not saying he's the only one that's ever happened to, obviously. But all these guys that were really, really, really successful, I don't want to say a percentage, but I'll say 80% of them took the long way.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, look at our very own Clinton Hart, Boo Hart. I told him, I think on the podcast or either podcast or just we were just talking in general, I said, I would love to make a documentary about your life, about you leaving high school and that journey going. We talked about it on the podcast of where he went, but you have to see it. Yeah. You have to see what he went through. Catfish Johnny's Restaurant, serving the Lake Pennsauken and surrounding areas since 1990. For the last 33 years, we have strived to serve great food at great prices and a friendly, casual atmosphere. If seafood isn't your thing, our burgers or wings are the best around. We have daily specials too. Check us out on Facebook or Instagram for more information.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, he didn't play college football, he played college baseball.
Played college baseball, then he went to Reno.
Yeah, I remember with the storm and stuff. Yeah,
but before that, he was on the lower tier. Like there was and I didn't even know this either. There's tiers of arena football. I thought
it was like semi-pro and yeah.
So he said, and he was going to make like $200 a week.
Yep.
And he was like, "What? Like I can't live off that."
Yeah.
And then he made a statement. He said, the first tryout he went to, he said, "I look like an athlete in a room full of non-athletes." Then the next time I tried out, I looked like an athlete in a room full of athletes. So I got better, but so did the competition.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Right.
And he mentioned that. He mentioned going from that arena to, he did NFL Europa. He played over there. And I mean, and you talk about patience.
Yeah.
And waiting on that call. And we always watch the draft. You see those guys waiting on the call. That ain't nothing, man.
Yep.
That ain't nothing. You know you're going somewhere.
Right.
How about going and working a 9-to-5 job and waiting that long to hear back from someone you don't even know? You don't even know they exist yet.
Right.
The opportunity.
That's crazy.
It's crazy, man. But I always say that, man. And you know, like these documentaries, man, if you were to tell me 20 years ago I'd love documentaries, I'd laugh. Because I'm like, man, these are boring.
Right.
But they're so good.
Yeah.
Because I guess as you get older, you realize, you know, you're going through a journey as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like, you're like, man, what would my documentary be about? What would my, you know, autobiography or biography, whatever, what would that consist of? And that's a good way to look at it, because then if one day when I'm no longer here and they pop in the Deion Sanders prime time, that is another good one.
Yep.
I'm talking about, but that's something, that's a legacy. That's something you can always go back to.
That's right.
You know? But anyways, I got kind of off subject.
No.
But so you were in middle school. Coach Kinley.
Yeah.
Who else did you have? Coach Kinley.
Coach Ricard.
Big Daddy.
Rest in peace, man.
That's right.
Love those two favorite all-time coaches.
Those two guys, yeah.
They played the biggest role and impact in my life. That's why I want to coach now and you know, give back to kids because of those two guys right there. Coach Walt Moore.
Oh yeah.
He was out there.
That's Corey's dad.
Yeah. Seymour. Yeah.
Seymour.
Yeah. You know, Coach Moore, I'd had him even before that with youth basketball and stuff. But
that's right. He was a basketball coach.
Real close with JJ.
Oh, yeah. So, JJ. I didn't forget about JJ, but I remember y'all were around the same age.
Yeah, he was
a year older than you?
Yep. So we was real close with them. And but, yeah, those three, I just want to say my 7th grade year, head coach Moreland, he was a teacher at the middle school.
Yeah.
And then 8th grade, Robert Martin came in and helped out. So it was a very small coaching staff for a big, you know, a lot of kids out there, but, you know, it's just so much freaking fun, man. I absolutely love it. When I talk to my players now and stuff, you know, and I talk about the bonds that you create with your teammates and the family and, you know, that whole dynamic.
Yeah.
I can still remember jersey numbers from all of these guys. And I don't understand how I can remember that stuff and you know, not stuff from just yesterday.
Yeah.
But that's just how special it was.
Yeah.
It's a great time.
Yeah, I don't remember my PIN number. You know,
exactly.
Email or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly.
I got to ask you this, 'cause since you brought it up about middle school. Do you remember the new building? Was the old building still there when you were there? It had to be. In middle school, the locker room that was in front of the gym, or did they already wreck that?
I think it was still there. We just never went into it. We had the new one. Yeah.
Okay, so so this gym, the building in front of the gym, at the middle school, it was like this old locker room, and I remember sixth grade. Yeah, 6th or 7th grade I had PE. And, you go in, you went up these stairs, and as soon as you open the door to the locker room, there's a toilet.
Nice. Welcome.
Yeah, welcome. So, you know, you'd see a kid, like leave early and, like, see y'all in the locker room. Like, wonder where he's going. And then we go to change back in for class, and you'd open the door, and there's the guy on the toilet. It had no stall.
Oh man, that's torture.
So you're already insecure about your body.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, right.
You're like changing in the corner, like, oh God, don't turn around,
Yep.
And you walk in, and there's a toilet with no stall. It's no stall door, nothing. Just a toilet, like it's on the showroom floor.
Yeah.
You walk in like, hey, how you doing, guys?
Thank goodness that was gone by the time we got there.
That's what I'm talking about being appreciative of things that, you know what I mean? Like, now we have a locker room with, we have great facilities now.
Oh,
but it's
goodness.
like, I'm not saying we didn't,
now.
but why was there a toilet in front of the, no, I'm not talking about as soon as you walked in, if I took 2 steps, to my right is a toilet. Now, you couldn't see it from outside. You couldn't see anybody sitting there.
Yeah.
But if you open that door, what's up, Larry?
Yeah, right? Man, what'd you eat today? Man, as soon as you open the door, it just hits you. Golly. I couldn't imagine, man. I'm so glad we didn't have to deal with
Somebody
that.
light a match or something? Anybody got a lighter?
Exactly. Man.
Oh, we're at school. Sorry.
Who was the football coach then?
That was Mr. Reynolds, Robert Reynolds.
Okay.
Mark Reynolds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mark's dad.
Yeah.
He was the head coach.
Okay.
Kenley took over after that. I don't want to say or maybe was Kenley the head coach? Maybe he was the head. I don't want to.
Kenley took over in like '96.
I don't want Coach K thinking didn't think he was the head coach. You're going back to remembering your PIN number.
Exactly.
I know Mr. Reynolds was there. I want to say he was, but I could be completely wrong. But I know Kenley was there.
Yeah.
But he was just fresh. He was
right
because we also. I mean, we went through a couple PE teachers. In the 3-year span, we had Miss Purdue.
Loved her.
Which she was Miss Walls.
Miss Wall, yeah, I remember that. Yep.
Ann Walls, but now Miss Purdue had her, and but that's what I'm saying. Like those were the same guys,
right?
My guys. But anyways, so you move on to high school, and you. What was that transition like going from South Sumter? I mean, they had toilets with stalls.
Yeah, no, it was. You realize going from 8th grade where you're, I don't want to say top dogs, but I mean, we were the first undefeated class and South Sumter history there. So we walked around with our chest puffed out. So when we get to high school and we're on the same practice fields as Matt Ellis and Booby and those guys, like it was a rude awakening,
Right.
And but getting to stay together into that freshman year, that was so much fun, man. We had a blast, but past that's when my story got a little bit rocky. After my freshman year, I got sick and my appendix had ruptured, and I missed like a month of school. I lost. To play O-line, you gotta weigh something, and I had lost 30 pounds. Went back to, I couldn't even lift the bar when I got back to the into weightlifting class, and Coach Irby, R.I.P. Love that guy too, but he's really helping me trying to get some strength back. But going into spring football my sophomore year, because you were on varsity now, like you weren't gonna play freshman anymore. I was a paperweight, man. Going against those big guys, they ate me alive. Was it Nathan C?
Nathan C, yeah.
Monster.
Yeah.
He wrecked my world a couple times. I just, had to work really, really hard to even get some weight back on. And
right.
I knew going into my sophomore, because I started some of my 7th grade year, all of my 8th grade year, all of my 9th grade year, and then going back down to, I think I was third string maybe sophomore year.
Right.
That was humbling for me. That was tough.
Yeah.
Got a little salty, but I could see why. I mean, I weighed maybe 140 pounds, maybe 50 on the offensive line as a sophomore. Come on.
Wow.
So, and then, we had some really great teams. That was what A.J. Bryant's senior year was my sophomore year.
Yes. Yep.
Freak of an athlete.
Yeah.
Love that guy. I'm trying to think. Junior year, that was the 02 class with, Blugie and all those guys.
Okay.
They were really talented too.
Yeah.
We always get right there to the semifinals.
Right.
3 years in a row. Just can't crack that. It's cursed.
Yeah.
I want to say we were cursed, man.
It reminded me of when we were talking about the Bills.
Yeah.
You can't get over that hump.
Yeah. We would stomp through everybody in a regular season. First 2 rounds of the playoffs, destroying teams, and then it's like a brick wall. Just couldn't get past it.
Duto Realty is a homegrown business with an eye for getting the job done right. From football games to Sunday school and everything in between, these ladies care about our community and the people in it. Helping buyers and sellers in all of Florida with all types of transactions, including residential, commercial, farm, or vacant land. They do it all. They even offer auction services and sellouts to always get the job done right. And I had Coach Sherman on, I was talking about it. I said, it's like, for 2 or 3 years in a row, we had Bowles and Madison, back to back. And I said, there was no break, you know? And it was like it was like you were in a bar fight and you come outside and there's a street fight.
Yep.
You're like, oh, we got past that. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, crap.
Yeah. It was.
But, you got to beat the best.
Yeah.
They just so happen to be in the same
Yeah. That was rough. Let's see, was it my junior year? Sophomore, when we went up to Madison and had the big brawl on the field?
Yes, that was 02. That was my sister's senior year.
Okay,
yep.
So that was
when they came in and attacked the cheerleaders.
Oh my goodness, that was wild, man. I would love to see footage of that, how that all went down. I remember we didn't drive home that night. We stayed in a hotel up there and seeing it on the news, it was crazy.
Yeah,
so crazy. I felt so bad for the seniors. Just go out like that, that's why we were full of piss and vinegar going into our senior year.
Yeah.
We wanted them.
Right.
We wanted them bad.
Yeah. And
it was crazy just how it all happened. It's like slow motion, just watching them charge our sideline. And
what is it about something like that? For that instance, but if you've ever been in an incident where something happens, you got to remember a lot of stuff. It just always feels like it's slow motion. Why is that? Everything else, if you drop something on the ground, you don't see the cup slowly fall. It's bam, and you're like, you try to catch it, and it's all over the place.
Man, when it happened, it was I'm just standing there like, what's going on? They're coming towards us. Maybe they're just going to come taunt at us, but they're jumping into the bleachers and ripping down signs, and it was crazy. I remember seeing Marcus Elliott. He wanted to go rip somebody's head off, people. And I'm just starting to make my way out into the middle of the field, and I was always small, so I always wore a neck roll to make me look bigger. Coach Irby grabbed me by the back of my neck roll, and my feet are kicking, and you could get your ass in the locker room right now. Okay, I'm going. Yeah.
But nobody blamed you. You know what I mean? For what you wanted to do.
Yeah, but it took me a second to realize what was happening.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, they're coming over here. All right, we got cheerleaders down. All right, now we're fighting. This is wild.
Yeah.
And
I could see if they lost.
Yeah. No,
but you won.
They beat us on the field and in the stands.
We played Hawthorne last year at Hawthorne. And I had the video from. Normally, I'm on the sideline doing the stuff for the website, for the Facebook. Well, they needed me to film game film, so I'm up in the stands because there is nowhere else to go. It's like the ancient ruins over there. And I'm sitting up there, and they're beating us by 20 points. And the fans are just completely complaining about everything. Talking about the referees.
Yeah.
Saying, their helmets kept popping off. Well, they're ripping our kids' helmets off. And I finally, after hearing that so many times, I hate confrontation.
Yeah.
But after a while, I'm going to say something. And I said, if they put their chin strap on the right way, their helmet don't come off.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why it's buckled down. And this lady was like, I wasn't talking to you. I'm like, you're talking out loud to where everybody can hear you. You were talking to me. And I was mad.
Yeah.
But then I was like, sometimes I have a hard time reading the room. So it's man. I'm on their sideline.
Yeah. Easy, Billy.
I want to make it back to Bushnold.
Yeah, right. Yep.
Forget what I said, lady. I'm sorry. See, but I was like, you got to be kidding me. But it's like common sense stuff. Yeah. And that's another thing we're talking about, like bandwagon people. Mm-hmm. I hate people that don't know what they're talking about, but think they know what they're talking about.
Oh, they're so convinced that
my gosh.
They're an expert.
Just so delusional.
Yeah.
Well, that's why they did that. That's exactly why they did
You're right.
Yep.
You're right.
Yep.
You win.
It's just better to say, yeah, okay.
That's the thing. Whatever. You just smile and nod and
yep.
Sure. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. I found out that if sometimes when you smile like that, they think you're being very facetious, and that makes them even more mad.
Yeah. So I like doing that sometimes.
I do too. I like to make a joke out of it.
Yeah.
So
last year, was it? They finished where in Cocoa?
Yeah, Cocoa.
Yeah, I wanted them to play Barrow so bad. Just because that's down there next to me, and I know some of the kids over there, and man, that would have been a great game. I'm hoping y'all run into each other this year somewhere in the playoffs. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, okay. So it's a different. God, my God! Every year it feels like it changes.
Did it change again?
It did.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so we're not. Have you seen the schedule?
Mm-mm.
So we're playing like East Side, Gainesville.
Oh, okay.
They're coming to. I think they're coming to us.
All right.
We're playing. Hawthorne's got to come to us. We got to go to Stark. God, I hate going there.
That's Bradford.
Yeah, Stark Bradford.
Yeah,
that's a nice 2-hour ride there.
Oh yeah.
But you know who we're not playing? The Villages. Go figure, huh?
Wow.
I was really wanting to Crescent that new field. With a dub.
Absolutely. That big fancy new field that they got. Yeah, they need a big goose egg on that scoreboard.
Dude, I had to drive by that thing 3 times a week, and I'm just like, oh my gosh.
It's a beautiful school, though, huh?
Yeah.
I haven't been there. I've seen pictures and videos online, but
it's nice
if
you've never seen a nice school before.
I got you.
I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be any kind of way.
Right.
There are a lot of people that go, "Oh, it's beautiful." I'm like, guys, they build those like almost like prefab over in Orlando.
Yeah.
This is.
What's Sumter County now?
I know. And here's the thing, their stadium. Well, and I know why they did it because someone told me they eventually want to host a state championship game there, which they could. I don't know where they're going to put the away side because there's not that many seats on the other side.
Yeah. But
home side, okay, I can see it, maybe half and half, but they ain't never going to fill those seats, man.
No.
It's just, I mean, I could be wrong, but the average bedtime in that area is 7:30. That's kickoff time.
No. In the Villages, that's not the average bedtime.
Oh, well.
Those wild people over there.
I don't know, man. Jeopardy comes on there.
Well, then they go out after Jeopardy or something.
Maybe
with their loofahs on their cars and all that stuff. Yeah.
The loofahs. Pat's Taps at Catfish Johnny's. Pat's Taps is Lake Penosofsky's newest tap room, offering 14 rotating craft beers on tap. We also offer bottled domestic beers, seltzers, ciders, and wine, as well as a variety of appetizers and pub. Our family-friendly tap room is a great place to come hang out and enjoy some one-of-a-kind craft beer. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or the Untapped app. But anyways, yeah, it is. Don't get me wrong, it is a nice facility.
Yeah.
I went over there with Kona and did I worked a 7-on-7 youth football thing.
Okay.
I think Cam Newton was there.
Okay.
Never saw him, but that's what somebody
Wasn't the
told
one
me.
that you got jumped at, was it?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But it was, oh my gosh, you talk about a ton of people. I mean, it was.
I'm sure.
Oh, and they got the facility, but.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're playing teams that we don't normally play. We got to go to Niceville. First game of the season, that's in Destin. That's north of Destin.
Wow.
Panhandle.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a 6-hour ride, bro. So that's
Jeez.
That should tell you what.
Okay.
Can't find anybody to play this. I mean,
That sucks, man.
I know.
Shall come down to, Lee County.
Well, it might as well.
Naples.
It's a lot shorter to go to Cape Coral.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to play any Cape teams. Oh, y'all destroy them.
Oh, they bad?
Yeah. Some of them are. Yeah. Cape Coral High School. They're starting to build up now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the other teams around there. Vero's the team to beat, or was it Lehigh? They had Richard Young that committed to Alabama last year or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
They're pretty tough, but right now everybody's on the upswing. It's good to see it's starting to build up and get some competitive teams back there. But
Right.
I don't think any of the local teams inside of Cape Coral could hang with South Sumter.
Right.
So
Right. So that's what we got going on this year. But
a lot of windshield time.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, at least we have a schedule.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be worse.
Yeah.
I have family out in Arkansas. They are District 7 or 6, and 7A, 6A, whatever it is, and they have to play like Bentonville. That's where Walmart headquarters are.
Yep.
I
lived out there for 2 years.
They make the villages look like like a Pahokee.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Wow.
bad. And but they have one good thing for them. I don't know if it's a good thing or not, because I was told to have an automatic bid in the playoffs because they have to play those 7A schools, and they're not a 7A school.
I got you.
So they get an automatic bid, but you still got to play them in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
we're going to the playoffs again. All right, we're done.
we're in and out. Thank you.
One and done, baby. One and done. But I thought that was weird. But
Yeah.
but that's how it goes sometimes. And then you got Leighton Vanderish played for the Cowboys. He was in Idaho, and they had an 8-person football team.
Yeah.
And they played basically on like gravel.
That was the rumor that I'd heard about my daughter's high school. Like, they were worried about kids transferring out because they just went through a head coaching change, and they were talking about potentially making their team, because they just don't have a lot of football players there, making them an 8-man team. Like, who do you play?
Yeah.
Like,
It's hard to find.
I just think about looking back on your high school years, saying that you played on an 8-man football team like that. I don't know. I couldn't imagine. I mean, they're out there. I know they are, but
Yeah.
I just like you talked about tradition before. Like we have it like no other here.
Yeah.
And whenever I started coaching down in Cape Coral and stuff, I brought South Sumter with me. Like, everything that I wanted to do when I started as athletic director was bringing in tradition, getting
Right.
with the local high school and trying to partner up. Like you guys have Pop Warner Night up here.
Yeah.
Trying to do something like that.
Yeah.
Problem is, there's 4 high schools within 5 miles of each other, and which one wants to take on this Pop Warner organization? And
Right.
It's not like a feeder system.
Right.
Right. So like when my kids age out at 12 or 13, 14 years old, because we have a 14U team, and when they age out, they're going to which high school? Like, they don't stay together.
Right.
Oh, I'm going to this one. I'm
yeah.
going to this one. I'm going to this one. And then now they're transferring after a year, and like, come on, guys, y'all should have just stayed together, pick a high school, and wrote it out. But it is what it is.
Yeah. My brother was just recently in Enid, Oklahoma. That's north of OKC, and he was a coach at their middle school.
Yeah.
And they had 2 teams. That's how big the school is.
Wow.
And I was just trying to get an idea how big their school was, and he was like, "Yeah, we have I think he said we have 4 cafeterias or something like that. I was like, what?
Dang.
What? 4 cafeterias?
Oklahoma.
Yeah. Whether your water is supplied by a public municipality or a private well, for residential or commercial use, Purified Water Services LLC has the solutions to provide you with simply clean water. We offer a complete line of professional water filtration equipment and accessories. Soft water makes a difference you can see and feel. Water heater and appliances last longer with less maintenance. Iron and H2S filters eliminate iron stains and offensive rotten egg odors and protects your water softener equipment from iron fouling. No matter what your problem is, Purified Water Services LLC has a solution. Contact Kenny Williams at 352-446-2709. Yeah, because 4 lunch periods wouldn't make it sound big. That just sounds like that's what we do.
Yeah.
But I think they had like 4 different cafeterias. I believe that's what he said. But it was astonishing. I remember him saying that. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But they play. You talk about like in Bentonville, where Siloam Springs is where my family's from. You talk about them playing these big teams. He's talking about playing Broken Arrow, all these different teams that are in Oklahoma. And you talk about travel. They had to go to Tulsa and play a high school team, and they go to. I mean, it was like, it didn't seem like they were like, hey, we're going to Wildwood. It's like, hey, we got to go to Lake City and come back, and next week we got to go to Tampa, and you're like, what? But the high schools are enormous.
Yeah,
and they're just, like I said, everywhere.
That's like Texas, man. Texas football is insane. Those schools look like colleges.
Oh yeah, Carson, he was playing in the XFL, or he's still, just finished up. Or UFL now. Sorry, not XFL anymore. UFL. And I asked him, I said, so do you know anything about that, UFL? Did you watch it?
Yeah, I watched some of it, yeah.
So they all meet in Arlington? Like that, they all go back to Arlington.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I didn't know this either. So from what he tells me, doesn't matter if they're Michigan, Birmingham, St. Louis, whatever.
Right.
They go to play the game. They all fly together, and they all fly home together. So,
all right.
It'd be like Florida, Georgia. All right, you come back home.
Yeah,
we're going back to Texas. And he said they train in a facility. It's like a big giant. I think it's a school, but it's like a public school. But they train at this.
Oh my goodness!
It's that big. It's I don't think it's a municipality or whatever. It's like a your average park. It's for a school, so it's like a private, not a private school. It might be a private school, but anyways, I'm like, so when you go to Birmingham to play Birmingham, y'all fly together. He goes, yeah, stay the night, and then I said, and then you got to get all pissed off and then come back home if you don't win. And you gonna be with these guys bragging about winning?
Yeah,
on the same flight. He goes, yeah, that's pretty much
wild,
how it is. I'm
man.
like, wow, that's so crazy.
That is crazy.
But that's how they do it. So there's really no home field advantage. I mean, there is home field advantage because you got your fans, but your training facility.
You're not doing anything out in your community or anything like that for your
No,
team, so.
They don't have time because they go back to Arlington. I think it's Arlington. Yeah, they go back to Arlington. And so it's like, and everybody, I mean, even San Antonio, they're I think San Antonio has a team. They fly from San Antonio, at least make it worth your while. You're going to go to Michigan, fly to Michigan, and but it's like, it was so bizarre when he first told me that. I'm like,
that's kind of crazy.
What? You guys are on the same plane?
I'm just glad that we do have an extra, football season, and gives those guys an extra opportunity to get recognized and
absolutely.
Stuff like that. I
absolutely.
love it. I absolutely love it.
Absolutely. So you had a great high school. You run some great teams in high school.
Just some very, very good teams. Great guys. My senior class, we had I want to say 6 or 7 guys that went and played college ball.
Yeah,
could have been a lot more. We just had so much talent. I mean, I'm not saying D1, but
lack
D2,
of
D3,
social media.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Back then, you didn't see all of these huddle films on Twitter and all that stuff,
Yep.
and nobody out flipping tractor tires and stuff on social media to get recruited and stuff.
Yeah.
But it would have been nice to see guys. We talked about your brother-in-law, one of my best buddies, Garrett.
Yeah.
He could have easily played college ball somewhere.
Yeah.
Like he was that damn good. I'll say it.
Yeah.
But with Earl and Ben and those guys going off and leaving their legacy in the college level, that was awesome to see.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I grew up with these guys.
Yeah.
That was my best friend. He used to stay the night at my house all the time. Now he's blowing up.
Yeah. What's funny is when Earl won the national championship, it's like,
Yep.
we all won it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, even though, obviously he did all the work.
Yeah.
But it felt right.
So happy for him, man.
No
if you
doubt.
know Earl, you know his
Golly.
story, like one of the best guys you'll ever meet in your life.
I'm trying to get him on the podcast.
He needs to. He needs to
He
come
will. He
tell
will.
his story. And
He just got married.
I saw that. Man. He's God. Like anybody in the world deserves good things to happen. It's a guy like that.
No doubt.
He's always the same person.
Yeah.
Never let the success get to his head. Always greet you with a hug and a smile.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things. My mom absolutely adored Earl growing up.
Yeah.
And he holds a special spot in our family, and he's my brother, man. This is one of those things.
Yeah.
All of those guys. There's 28 seniors in my class. I consider every single one of them a brother. Like, if I needed something, I'd call any one of them up.
Yeah.
And they'd be there in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Funny story about Earl. Not funny, but story about Earl. He was there was a game we went to. This is the year, I think it was 2 years. This is when Zook was still there. So it was 2 years before they won the national championship because Irv Meyer wasn't there yet. And I took a friend of mine from Epcot. Like she worked with me at Epcot, but she was from the UK. I don't know, parts unknown, but all they know is football, like soccer.
Yeah.
Football. So I said, let me take you to a Gator game. So she's like, okay. So we went, and she was amazed by the atmosphere, right? And it was like Middle Tennessee State. It wasn't even like a rivalry game, And
one of those high school teams Florida always plays.
Yeah. All right. So we go, and I said, yeah, we're going to go. I got a buddy of mine who that I went to school with who plays, and she's like, oh, okay, well, that'd be cool to see him, So we get there, and I can't find Earl. And we're waiting, and everybody's coming out. And I'm like, okay. She's like, what number is it? I said, he's number 30. So she thought I was making this up because Earl never came out. He was the last one out.
Yeah.
He was always the last one out. I don't, and to me, people go, well, last one out, he must be late. But that's not always the case. Last one out doesn't always mean you're late. It means you want to make sure you got everything, whatever. But
he might be the guy that's actually staying behind to make sure it's not trashed, cleaning up other people's mess.
You never know, but he was the last one out and the last one in. Always. Like when warm-ups, last one out, and then they do the pregame warm-ups, last one in. He wasn't trying to dodge nobody.
Yeah.
But it was like, I was like one of those little things, I'm telling you, right, it's the little things that you always notice. Yeah. And I'll never forget stuff like that. But she was amazed by the atmosphere. I was like, yeah, this is it. This is how it goes,
This is the swamp.
This is every Saturday.
I did go to an orange and blue game one time.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and I wore Georgia stuff there. And I got picked on by the people in the stands.
Well, rightfully so.
Yeah. It was Joey Thompson and his dad took me. I think Garrett might have been there, and I wore a Georgia hat. They're like, you're at the wrong game, boy.
You're like, it's Green Bay.
Oh, no, it was red. It was red for a reason. I wanted to stand out, and I did.
Thanks for watching part 1 of this 2-part podcast. Check out full episodes on YouTube and Spotify.